So I'll do a quick introduction of everyone. I want to remind the audience, this is a difficult format for our presenters. We've asked them to do the PechaKucha style. I know there's always a lot of confusion over what that name means and what it is. Technically, it's Latin for pain in my ass. Credit to Sean for that quick wit. So we're going to have them do this session. It's very quick. It's very fast-paced. So please be lenient to them. We're going to have all 5 of them go in a row. We have some questions, and we'll do some Q&A with the audience. We have an hour and 15 minutes for this session. This is a brilliant panel. We want to make sure you get a lot out of this session, so we want to have a nice conversation with everyone. So I'll do the quick introductions. Sean Auckland, Destination Marketing Lead from Google. We have Christine Tordella from Facebook, Melissa Barnes from Twitter, Rada Ivanov from LinkedIn, and then Rachel Sahlberg. I prefer Sahlberg from YouTube. So with that, Sean, please.
Hi, guys. Okay, so yes, this is difficult, not only because PechaKucha is 20 slides in 20 seconds, or 20 slides for 20 seconds each, but also I don't know if anyone in the history of the world has described Google in 6 minutes. So I'm going to take a different spin. I know I've been here for the whole conference, so you've heard me in a few different capacities, but I wanted to give you guys what I see as my overview for the whole company as opposed to any one particular area. Okay, so with that, we'll get started. So Google's mission, founded in 1998, is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So this includes Google Search, everything on the internet to index and make available to the user. It also, as you guys learned that came to the Google field trip, includes maps, our geo products, printed products, basically everything so users can research and gain knowledge. And we're in a changing world, so major brand leaders are changing. We've been hearing about this at this conference, and this is a quote that I love from Unilever CMO. If you're going to be a great marketer right now, you need to be a great digital marketer, right? And we've heard that a few different times during this conference. But there's a few different ways that we as Google feel like we can help with that. And that's sort of how I'll shape this today. Is first, winning moments that matter. I've heard this separately at this conference as find the traveler at the right time with the right moment with the right message. So I'm going to discuss how we're doing that. Enable better decisions. We're a data-driven company. I'll cover a bit of that. And also constantly innovating, both on our end and encouraging and enabling ways for you guys to do that in your travel practices. So first, let's talk about the travel cycle and dreaming. So we provide video, display, mobile media, and social channels necessary to win the stimulus moments, if you refer back to Zmot, that matter. Let us help travelers be inspired and to picture themselves in their destination. So I put some examples here with YouTube, Google Search, and then also capturing. So across Google Search, across mobile search, across tablets, and some of these, and it was great having ComScore intro here with Christine. But as we generate those different types of search items, there's lots of different ways that once they move to the first moment of truth and they start researching with Google Plus as well, that they would be able to get that. How about social? How about sharing the travel experiences? So the happiest visitors will amplify that positive experience. So across Google+, across Search, across YouTube, and also across Blogger, sharing the experiences of my travel to make you super jealous that I went to your place. Next, that was moments that matter, enabling better decisions. So many of you, most of you are using Google Analytics. How about your AdWords? We just recently announced last week, so this is new, that you can import analytics directly into AdWords. Everything that you do as marketers should be measurable, and if it's not working, cut it. And that accounts for every single one of us that's talking. Next, social. Everything you do on social should equally be measured, and that's not just what we're doing. So Google Analytics, if you're not aware yet, social reports allow you to, amongst Google Plus and 400 other social networks, measure what that traffic's doing for you, both in terms of conversions, pages on site, and also how they're moving through your website and tracking. How about on the social side? We're also innovating and pushing social networks further. So what you're looking at here is on every Google Plus post, you can see how those have been shared for your brand. And that's currently available to everyone. So you're looking at something that the Dalai Lama shared, and you can see who your influencers are and how many levels away, and really visualize what you guys are doing and where you're having an impact. And this is currently in Google Plus. Next, some of you learned about this the other day, but how about winning the moments that matter and uncovering new insights for your organization in what we're changing. So first, Google Trends. Where are people searching for you? That is the best measure of awareness that we could possibly give you. And also, the Global Market Finder, I think this is particularly important with the launch of Brand USA, that you can put in your terms, Google Translate will translate them into other languages and see, maybe there's a market you did not know about. Next, how about innovating? We know from this conference that everything is changing very quickly in the space of online. Comscore highlighted this. But 90% of our media interactions now are happening on digital devices. 10% is now on traditional. And it's fragmenting, right? We covered this yesterday. But the audio is not working, but you can see the text of what she's saying. I'm sometimes shopping, sometimes looking for recipes, sometimes typing them up, sending emails, reading. I could do anything on there. It's not often that I just sit and watch TV and just do that anymore. And it's true. Our multi-screen study says that 77% of the time that people watch TV, they're using one of these devices. And I showed this yesterday, but I'm going to show it again, because absolutely, if you take away something from this conference that I've said, I think it's that mobile and device proliferation will change what you're doing in the next year. So we heard a bit smaller numbers in the last session, but we're predicting, and Gartner confirms this, that by the end of 2013, mobile will be the most accessed way to get to the internet, and half of our search devices will be coming from it. Lastly, I'm going to go to constantly innovating. This is an idea box for you that just got posted for agencies and for travel clients. So CreativeSandbox.com is a gallery of the very best works we've seen on the internet when you guys are looking for inspiration of amazing and seamless digital experiences that can be executed online. Lastly, I mentioned this yesterday, but another space where we're innovating and responding to the fragmenting of devices is with the +1, is that everywhere that your brand message is being segmented and touching folks will now be aggregated and will work in your favor. Lastly, I'm just going to cover some of the great new things outside of these that I think Google's doing that I wanted to update you on. So first, Google Plus Events. You can schedule a Hangout on Air, which is what I talked about yesterday, get photos and videos in one place. It's now integrating with everything that we're doing across Google. There's a few different types of events. And party mode, your friends can all log onto their phone at the party and share photos so that you're not taking your photos home and not having them anymore. How about travel? So how about the experiencing stage? Google Now is a new feature on Android phones that allows basically Android tell me before I know what I need to be doing. So you see a few examples of, we know where you work, for instance. Your phone has learned this because you've opted in, and it gives you suggestions about bus stops, about travel time. You guys may have heard of the self-driving car. We're using advanced computer science to try and make driving safer and more enjoyable. About a dozen of these are on the road at any given time. There's even a video online of it driving down Lombard Street with no driver. So we think that's pretty amazing, and they've already driven 300,000 miles. Lastly, what is the future of mobile devices beyond the smartphone? You may have heard of Project Glass, which is a head-mounted screen with a computer up in the top right. So this is an example of what that might look like. But think about how that could impact your life if you could take a photo like that and have technology get out of your way instead of staring at those devices all day long. So that's how we think that the web, right now in this conference, it feels like sometimes we might be chasing technology. We absolutely think the web should be working for you. So we're trying to package that and investing heavily in these different areas that are changing marketing. I put a few other resources on here, and also we'll be around for the rest of the conference. Thank you.
So I lead agency and brand advocacy at Twitter. I thought it made a lot of sense to talk about what I hear most from brands when I talk to them, which is not why Twitter, but how Twitter. I think nobody would disagree that there isn't a lot of opportunity when they look at the platform. And it starts with the user story. When we talk about Twitter, Twitter brings you closer. So depending on the events in the world, what you're most interested about the people that are interesting to you, Twitter allows you to get closer to them. And we saw it last night with the debates, my timeline, and I don't know how many people in the room are on Twitter, but it was full of people responding to what was happening at that moment in time. And this is an example of sort of how we look at it. It's not about who you know. It's about who's talking about what you are interested in. So this is who I follow, and some of the people who follow me. I follow Jack Welch. He doesn't follow me back yet, but my hopes are high. But you see that sort of asymmetrical follow in place all the time. And as marketers, we're so used to looking for that person who's 18 to 24, female, has a college education on Twitter. It's about who people follow, what they're talking about in their moment in time. The new mom, the young mom, 20 years ago, you could assume that she might be 20 to 30, most likely. Now she could be 42 or 22, and that's the difference. And I think when you look at our growth, we're starting to see that. So We began January with 100 million active users. In April, we announced 140 million active users. 60% of those are mobile in the US. That number is 80% in the UK and other markets, it's even higher. And 1 billion tweets every 2.5 days. And I think one of the things that is really winning for us is the simplicity of Twitter. It flows across all platforms, so desktop, mobile, no matter where you are, it's the same experience. More often than not, our mobile products outperform our desktop products because that experience is so simple. And brands, when they're looking at how they can go in and what they can talk to people about, we see that people want, they want free stuff. They want, they want trips and things like that. They want to be entertained. Fun and humor plays really well. They want information. And so if you as a brand can give them something that's going to make their day easier, simpler, that's a real value add for them. And we see that has effect. So 62% of the people who follow brands are more likely to visit their website. 59% are more likely to recommend that brand to a friend, and most important, probably 56% of people who follow those brands are more likely to purchase from that brand. So there's a real business opportunity there for people. I'm assuming most of the room is on Twitter, but raise your hand for those of you who are on Twitter. I'd just love to know. Okay, good. This is good. For those few who don't, this is an anatomy of a tweet. So the regatta bar is the username. You see things like the hashtag Fat Tuesday. So we see people circle around hashtags almost like a campfire. That's the water cooler that people are talking about that moment in time. The idea of voice, my team made it difficult. They put just pictures up there and asked me to go. But we get asked about voice a lot. There's a human factor to Twitter, right? Brands and companies that do best sound like real people. They're conversational, they're approachable. And so we encourage people not to formalize. This is not a press release. This should be something that feels fun and, again, conversational. These are assets. These assets are things like they're your spokespeople, they're your internal experts, they're your partners, they're events. Anybody who might provide you content is an asset to a brand when you're thinking about what you can talk about. That idea of getting closer is really compelling. And so when you look at your content calendar, what can you bring people closer to? So typically people struggle with, okay, I've got one event this month, and maybe on Thursdays it's a special series that we do. But how do you fill the rest of that time? And so we push brands to think about creating content series. So thinking about your assets and thinking about how you can make them, create regular content mechanisms from them. So whether it's a behind-the-scenes look, it's an interview with an expert, it's a recipe, it's how you're decorating a table. Just start to think about how you can build content series, because that also trains your followers in terms of what they can expect from you as a brand if they follow you. And then when we talk about best tweets, so this is Ben & Jerry's. Wow, seems like everyone's mouths are watering for our latest limited batch flavor, Sweaty Balls. We love you. That's fun to read. You want to click on it. Sweaty Balls, credit to that. But it's again, that human factor. It's conversational and approachable, and they do a great job. It's a great brand to sort of follow on Twitter. You also want to think about what's going on in the world, so being timely. Planning for events and how you can participate. I saw some interesting folks interact in the debates last night, and so AARP was looking for keywords and moments to sort of put out content that was relevant to the conversation that was happening. So that real-time aspect of Twitter is a huge opportunity. So if you can figure out how you can participate in those predictable conversations, that's a win. Again, that idea of humor and being a resource. So Hotel Tonight, if Z-Day happens while you are traveling, what's your best tip to survive the zombie apocalypse? So think about these memes that are happening and how you can insert into that. This link takes you to hotels that are available at that moment in time, and it makes you smile. I favorited it. We also see things where, think about award shows. Miracle Whip didn't have a big budget, and they were looking for scenarios where they could interact. And so they chose to find people who were tweeting about the worst dressed and developed a series of tweets to respond to those and drive people to their website. Very much check out Miracle Whip, because they do a great job of using humor. And then looking again for how you can respond to what people are talking about. So Neil Patrick Harris made it to the balloon fiesta, hot air balloons everywhere, amazing, I love New Mexico. Kudos to New Mexico Tourism. We're thrilled that you made it to the Balloon Fiesta, actually NPH. Have you spotted your favorite balloon yet? Including the hashtag. So he has more than 1 million followers, and New Mexico found a way to insert themselves into that. And then think about, so many people in the room I know do big events. Think about how you put context around those. How do you build different layers? How do you bring people behind the scenes or closer to parts of the event that they can't be there for, right? And think about, you might have 1,000 people at an event. How do you blow that out to the 5,000 people who might be following you, who can't be there in that moment in time? And finally, integrate everywhere. Your username, your hashtag, put it on all your collateral. We're talking about Twitter right now for this 5 minutes or so, but we really believe that Twitter amplifies, it connects, it accelerates. And so use it across all your platforms, everywhere you're putting your company, your brand. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Radha. I'm with LinkedIn. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually a specialist on the travel vertical. I cover a lot of what you do, convention, visitors bureaus, airlines, hotels, travel agencies, etc. And I'm just going to do a pretty general overview with you, as I've never done this style of presentation before, so please bear with me. As far as where LinkedIn is today, we're at 175 million members worldwide, but we're at 40 million unique monthly users per month in the US. And as you can see here, we do have an international presence with our members. As far as what our members do on LinkedIn, I know this is a question that I frequently get asked by our advertisers, and most people would say, oh, they're probably looking for jobs. But as you can see here with this pattern of engagement with our platform, they're spending time looking at their inbox, they're profile viewing, they're reading news on LinkedIn Today, which is on the homepage. And I'm going to try and go through this quickly. I want to talk about what is really the core pillars of LinkedIn, and that all comes from all that information that you as a member provide to us about who you are from a professional standpoint. What it is that you currently do, what you've done in the past, where you've been educated, and because of all this great information about who you are, we feel that we're able to deliver a greater marketing impact to our advertisers. And as far as what our members are like, they're an affluent, educated professional. Almost half of our members have an average household income of 100K plus. 60% have at least a college degree, and they do rely heavily on social platforms to formulate their opinions about the products and the services that they do use. As far as travel stats, and this is information from Comscore, our members are about 108% more likely than the market average to engage in heavy online spending for travel. And more than half of our members have made a travel purchase within the last 6 months. 95% have taken a domestic vacation in the past year. Our visitors are also 60% more likely than the market average to have flown in the past 3 months. And this information is also something that we're able to track via the TripIt app that a lot of our members install and share with their professional network, which on average our members have about 151 connections. So they do share information about where they're traveling, whether it's for personal use or for professional use. So this is really our bread and butter here at LinkedIn, is being able to target. And you can target on LinkedIn by profession, seniority level, basically all of the information and the data that's within the member's profile. So when it comes to distributing your message to the right person, we know that you can get there through that information. Additionally, we've also created these custom segments which will really help you to zero in on who it is that you're looking for as your potential customers. Number one, event planners in the US, encompassing about 500,000 members. And additionally, the business traveler. This segment is comprised of people who have either installed the TripIt app and are traveling frequently, or are in professions that we know are prone to travel. Additionally, we also have groups on LinkedIn, and what we're able to do through these is also target the members who are engaged with these groups. For the most part, they tend to be usually around professional organizations like event planning, et cetera, but they also could be leisure-oriented. So what do you do on LinkedIn as an advertiser? Well, number one is make sure that your face on LinkedIn is up to date, your company page. This is free for you to update, and it basically levels the playing field for all advertisers. Anyone can look like the LAN Airlines for free if they upload an image, upload information about who they are as an advertiser and what their services are. And with LinkedIn, it is really important that you provide facts. This is a fact-driven environment. It's not just about fun and games. People really want to know what is going on with your services. So make sure that the content that you're delivering to the members on LinkedIn is very relevant to who they are. So how do you make sure that you have the right people following your content on the LinkedIn platform? Number one, for free, add the InFollow button to your website, your Contact Us page. With one click of a button, that traffic that you have on your website can be, or that person can be a follower on your LinkedIn company page. So what else can you do on the LinkedIn platform? We do, with the targeting that I talked about earlier, you can deliver very prominent messaging to our members. We only have one graphical display unit per page. You never have to worry about competitive separation. Your message is always going to be prominent. And in addition to our display ads, we also have an ability to directly message our members with very catered and personalized messages that could be targeted to that specific audience that you're looking for. Great thing about these is that we don't allow our members to receive more than one of these in a 60-day period from any type of advertiser, so you can own their inbox for that 2-month period. Additionally, we have ways to engage our members so that you can also gain some insights on what they like, whether it's from a travel experience or just in general, if you can get some more information on what their habits are like by using the LinkedIn poll. You target this poll to your potential customer. Once they vote, they're taken to a customized landing page through which you can actually see how they answered based on a lot of qualitative information. Taking it a step further, you can engage our members with content ads. You can have basically expandable video engaging ads, which you can provide a lot of information to our members through. I won't go into too many details, but speaking of mobile and tablets, about 28% of our traffic comes from mobile and tablets. So there's definitely an opportunity to take advantage of that platform as well from an advertiser perspective. We also have a relationship with the Google Ad Exchange through which you can actually follow our members. You serve them an ad on LinkedIn, and you can follow them as they leave our site as well. And of course, my favorite thing about working at LinkedIn is just being able to deliver all this information back to you as well. So all this information that we're able to target by, we'll be able to tell you, these are the exact people that saw your ad, and we'll be able to tell you who clicked through to your ad based on not just their professional characteristics, but their company names as well. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Hello, nice to meet everybody. I'm Rachel Salberg from YouTube, currently working in the Brand Lab, which is a brand new customer experience center where we invite brands in and we talk about challenges and solutions. But today, with you guys, we're going to be talking about what is now with regard to video and the market, what's new and what is next. And this format does not lend itself incredibly well to showing off video, but I'm going to try. I'm going to do my darndest. All right, here we go. So what is now? So 3 trends that we're seeing. One is audience fragmentation, so the idea that there's a lot more content out there for people to watch, so it's hard to find them in all the different places they might be. More devices to consume, so we've talked a lot about tablets and mobile phones today, in addition to traditional TV and laptops. And then the rise of niche content. So brands can no longer broadcast a message or content, they have to get very specific. So here you see TV ratings in 1988. The top show had a 25 rating. So a quarter of the people watching TV at that time were watching that show. Today it's a 6 for American Idol, which means that of all the people watching, only 6% of them are watching that show because of the rise of other channels, cable channels, and the digital networks. So if you look at that traditional television that's in a living room, it's actually now an internet-connected television in a lot of cases, with all of these digital publishers putting on apps that you can watch straight from your TV, and you can also access those through some of these devices like Apple TV, Xbox, and PlayStation as well, coming into the living room and challenging that traditional TV message. So here is the living room, which probably looks a lot like your living room at home. You've got your TV, but then you also have people on computers, smartphones, and tablets vying for that attention. So when someone was watching TV, they're not really watching, they're multitasking. So you have to think about reaching people on all of these different devices if you're going to reach them during a particular moment of time in their day. So speaking of content, if I mentioned horse racing, and you were talking about television, if you loved horse racing, you would probably have about 3 hours a month on TV to watch horse racing. On the internet, you can watch it anytime on demand. You can watch equestrian kind of highbrow horse racing. You could watch barrel racing world championships. You can get as specific in niches you want because the content is out there. And the content is out there in droves. So here from a fashion perspective, you have Project Runway on television with 2.7 million viewers a week. On digital, you have the Style Hall channel that gets 4.6 million viewers a week. And that's just one of thousands of channels in that fashion industry that's available just on YouTube and more channels elsewhere on the web. So this is the obligatory slide that shows stats. 800 million monthly unique users globally. You can see 72 hours of content uploaded each minute, which is incredible. But one of the things that most people don't know is that it's the second largest search engine behind Google.com. So when you think about how people are searching for your brand on sites like Google and Yahoo and AOL. Whoa. And there's video. So this is what's happening now on YouTube. People are dancing. I like that. I like that. You only get 20 seconds, though. So that was exciting. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is K-pop from Psy, who is a brand new star, 423 million views, which is incredible. People like Ellen are featuring it on their channel. We've got the State of Oregon Marching Band doing a parody. We've also got the U.S. Naval Academy doing a parody. And look at those numbers, 5.3 million views just for all of these parodies of that one song. Here's another one from the travel category.
Well, by now you may just know those lyrics by heart. It's been 1 week since the Pure Michigan video debuted, and it already has over 1.2 million views. A lot of those came from me. It was produced by Grand Rapids marketing firm. This video has gone, it's definitely viral at this point. The video was filmed all across Michigan within the span of just 1 week.
So that was Pure Michigan, a viral video that they made. Pretty incredible. So what is new with the YouTube platform? We are taking a mobile-first approach. It's not just something and mobile, it's actually mobile-first. And we'll see how that's playing into our design. And then also the rise of episodic content, so keeping people on channels longer, not just coming and watching one video at a time. So this is the newly redesigned homepage. And you can see right in the middle where it says subscriptions, this is all the rising content in your stream based on the channels that you're subscribed to. And on the left-hand side, you can see the channel guide. So you can easily flip between your favorite channels, much like a TV remote control. And you can see this playing out on the mobile device as well. So this is the mobile app. It's the same for iOS and Android. You've got that stream of content coming in. You can swipe it over and you get to the channel guide that you saw on the web version as well. So it's all synchronized, very integrated. And if you were to click on a particular channel, you're taken to that channel's page, which is also very seamless, very simple. And these stats are pretty incredible. So today, 10% of online videos consumed on mobile devices. That number will rise to 70% by 2015. And YouTube is ahead of the curve. Mobile is making up 30% of YouTube video views. So when you think about developing content, video content, think about mobile first with us. Oops. So this is an example of a travel company that is embracing this idea of channels and episodic content. This is JetBlue. They have a game show that's every week. They VC or video conference in contestants from around the country, and they ask them questions. And this is something that every week their subscribers know to come and check out, and they get notified in their stream that a new episode's been uploaded. So they've embraced this new model of episodic content. And we also have the same with Macy's, who is doing, they call it retail-itality. It is a combination of retail and reality, and it's a reality television show starring the people that work in their stores and featuring some of their celebrity hosts like Martha Stewart. And again, it's a weekly episodic-based upload to their site. And what is next? This is probably the most exciting part, is all live programming. So imagine a TV channel or a YouTube channel that is on all the time, playing everything that you want, just what you want, and you can go there and watch it anytime live. So this is a very, very exciting example. Suspense, suspense. Ready, ready, ready? So this is the Pet Collective. And you can come here, and I spend many hours a day at work, don't tell my boss, here at the Pet Collective just watching puppies. All day long, 24/7. So you can see they have a corgi cam, they have a golden retriever cam, and a regular puppy cam. And you can spend a lot of your day doing that. So thank you.
I am not sure how we follow the puppy cam, but we're going to try to. So Thank you to our panel. Wonderful, wonderful information. As Jake said in the beginning, we really did want to structure this session to be informative, almost as a pitch for you guys so you can see and understand what all of these social sites and what these companies have to offer you. We do want to open up to Q&A now. We have a decent amount of time here so you guys can ask these panelists questions. We have some questions as well that we've already got from the audience. So I'll ask the first question, come out into the audience, and then you guys can take it from there, okay? So we'll just do it. Any of you guys can take it. You can all answer. One of you can answer. All up to you. Please use the microphone. I'll actually take that one. Sorry, Sean. Let's start with the first one. Besides insufficient budgets, what are the primary mistakes you've seen companies make using your platform, and what could they be doing better?
I'll start since I have the microphone. So there are a lot of different options of things you can do with Google, both paid and unpaid. So I wouldn't necessarily say budgets necessarily factor into it. What I would say is my opinion on digital is that, and I mentioned measuring, and I think measuring is incredibly important. But I think that because digital is so measurable, maybe DMOs have tended, and the travel industry at large, have tended to focus more on traffic than anything else. So across whatever you're doing, I think maybe a lot of folks aren't diversifying what they're doing other than search. And as destinations, I sort of put it on you and frequently see the lack of focus on dreaming and inspiring new travel. Search is incredibly important. You know, I showed the different parts of that. We get 100 billion searches per month on Google.com. That's a number as of 2 months ago, and that's significant. So, like I said, it's absolutely important that when somebody's expressing an interest for you, that you capture that. But also, as destinations, we need to be growing the interest in our place faster than the travel category or just web adoption is happening in general.
I'll also say something. I think one of the biggest challenges that we see is really knowing whether or not the advertiser understands how they're measuring success. So they'll come and they say, we want branding, we want this, but then on the back end, they can't actually measure it. And we're able to help you. We'll provide you with information about, with all of our analytics that we have. But you have to know what success means to you. Is it website traffic? Is it revenue growth? If you're able to share that with us in the front end, then we'd be able to help you in the back end.
I see a lot of short-term thinking sometimes. So you're focused on sort of that one moment in time, and you're not thinking about where you want to be a year from now, and to that point of what are you trying to measure, what needle are you trying to move. The people who I think are doing it best aren't thinking about campaigns, they're thinking about their company, their brand, that story that they're trying to tell, and how that works across, again, all channels, and what it looks like a year from now.
I think to build on your 2 points, I think the biggest and people make a lot of mistakes on Facebook. It's on one hand really simple platform, but then really complicated. It gets in the weeds very quickly. And I think that the biggest mistake that I see marketers making is getting really aggressive about fan acquisition. So they're looking at quantity over quality, and they're trying to get the cheapest fan and a lot of them, and that doesn't yield value. On the other hand, they also don't know how to articulate what the value of a fan is for them, and that's a very unique value proposition for every marketer. So I think people are getting smarter, and we have some products that we've just put in the market to make sure that the fans that you acquire on Facebook are your actual customers. And then there's a really powerful mechanism by getting in front of those customers on Facebook that you can cross-sell to them, you can upsell to them, you can re-engage them if you're not engaging with them. So I think just really having the right the right strategy around fan acquisition is the biggest mistake.
Great. Please.
I'll round out the crowd. I think for YouTube, it kind of ties in a little bit to what the others were saying, but you have to have a long-term strategy. So, you can't make a video, upload it to YouTube, and then say, why has it not gone viral? And sit there and wonder. I mean, you really have to think about what you're trying to accomplish in the long run, and then understand that you do have to put some paid media behind YouTube, much like you would Google or any other platform, to get people to expose to that video, and then from there it might, the social element might kick in. And not every video becomes a viral video, and you have to be okay with that and understand what your own personal metrics for success are. I would think the other, common mistake that I've seen talking to customers is that they're not taking advantage of all of the bells and whistles that come along with YouTube that are free to use and very easy to implement. So it could be as simple as writing a good description for your channel, writing a good description for your videos, tagging your video with meta tags that will help it come up in organic search. So there's very simple tips and tricks, and we have a lot of resources available for creators to take a look and do very self-serve on that. So I think people just don't take the time to really understand the available resources to them.
That's great, thank you. And I think I heard the panel say that we need to have goals established, we need to have tasks in mind when we come to you and say here's how we're going to measure success. And I think knowing what I know from this side of the audience, I think a lot of us in the audience are looking at some of the products that you guys have and saying, it's so new, it's so confusing in some senses, we're not even sure what we're going to measure. And I feel like there's a little bit of back and forth that probably has to happen, but I would agree, it feels like there's a hurdle for this half of the room to get over, that whatever it is, and we talked about this a little bit in the session with Ben from Think, you have to have a goal, you have to have something in mind that you want to accomplish. You can't just come to YouTube and say, our goal is to put up a video. I mean, that's great. A lot of people can do that. Speak real quickly about the Pure Michigan video. That was a great example. It's very recent. I know you didn't necessarily work with them on that video, but what are some of those common traits that you see in that type of video that this group could apply? I know there's no way to say, let's make a viral video and make it happen, but what are some of those common elements that you see in that video and others that lend itself to becoming viral?
Sure. I mean, one of the the things that you need to think about when you're creating any video and putting it on YouTube is this something that people will watch? I mean, that's the very first question. If you wouldn't sit there and watch it yourself, it may not be something that someone's going to watch. It doesn't hurt to put it up, but don't expect amazing things to happen. I think with Pure Michigan, there was a lot of thought put into that. They definitely capitalized on this, Owl City Carly Rae Jepsen song that was, that is very popular, and sort of took advantage of that. And then they really thought about how can we take our great state, how can we energize the people living in our state, how can we energize people who might be visiting our state, and how can we show it off in the best possible light. So they went to 50 cities. They did the filming in, I think it was 7 days. So a pretty incredible effort on the part of their agency and the DMO. So it was a lot of strategic planning and a lot of thought. And then also there's going to be an advertising commitment put behind that, which I don't know, and Sean may be able to speak to. I don't know if Sean knows either, but yeah, I mean, I think we always talk about does it educate someone, does it entertain them, does it inspire them? I mean, those are 3 things that you can kind of think about. So I mean, in that case, for Pure Michigan, it was entertaining, it was inspiring, and I think it does educate on all the different things that you could do within the state. So.
Yeah, I would agree. And it strikes me, too, that, when you build a video like that, there's certainly a built-in audience of sort of civic pride for the state. You've already got the whole state saying, yes, we're proud of ourselves, and they're happy to promote it to people outside the state to say, look how wonderful we are. So when you kind of hit on that passion of we're proud of our state. Exactly. Interesting. Questions from the audience. Let's open it up to the audience. James, my man. Thank you, sir.
Hope you don't mind, but I want to just kind of pick on Facebook and LinkedIn a minute. The description of the session was talking about uses of insights and perspectives on how travel companies can best use their platforms. I actually don't see the word advertise on their platforms in there. And I've got a real bugbear after last year and this year, and I hope you don't mind me kind of pointing this out, that we've got a whole load of people in the room that have got small budgets. And I actually think that some of the other presenters up on the stage and other presenters we've had have been really great. Been able to show organic uses and have a real understanding from a travel vertical perspective how the sites can be used. But I felt this morning, and what we saw last year, was that Facebook and LinkedIn, I understand your jobs are advertising, but I really do kind of wonder as to whether, particularly LinkedIn, I was there last year after this, talking to a group of your advertising team, and it just seems that there's a lack of understanding around how to use your sites from a organic use from your teams, and I'm just wondering whether that's maybe something you could talk to us from.
Sure, absolutely. And that's a great question. I don't know if you were paying attention to my slides, but I did reference the fact that the company pages are something that all advertisers can take advantage of for free. You can make them as glamorous as basically any company. So you could be a small CVB and you can look like the most attractive destination on the face of the earth. And it's simply by uploading, whether it's a video that you already have created and that you have on YouTube, whether it's images from your destination, descriptions about where you're at, and then, like I said, adding an InFollow button onto your own website and capturing that organic traffic that's already coming to you, that is all free for you to take advantage of. In addition to that, we provide all of our companies access to targeted status updates. So if you have regional efforts, or if you have efforts that are maybe focused on, medium incomes versus higher end incomes, you can actually segment out how you communicate with those potential customers via our platform, all free for you to take advantage of. And as long as you are, using all the different channels to virally promote your company, you can acquire organic followers, and that would be the next step. That's when we would come in and we would help you, get the right kind of followers more quickly by using the paid media that we have on LinkedIn. Does that help?
So I'll say I think I'm by a wide margin the oldest person on the panel, and I have worked at a lot of different companies and a lot of different media companies, and I have never worked for a company that is a for-profit company that gives away so much for free. And to LinkedIn's point, there's so much utility and so many tools on Facebook, both for users but also for businesses, to leverage the platform and do organic distribution of their content and get people that they're connected to engaged, to share and comment and like that content. The fact is that as we get bigger and the sheer amount of content that's shared on Facebook grows exponentially, the distribution of that content gets harder and harder to show up in people's news feeds. So if you want to promote your content and get it out there, paid advertising is the fastest and easiest way to do it. That said, it's not to say that if you are posting on your page and engaging with people, it's not going to end up in their news feeds. It's just becoming less and less so. So I think I think we also see a lot of power in how paid advertising drives earned media, and we report on that in our statistics. So we see a lot of lift, and that also grows exponentially. And I will also say that small businesses, we see tremendous ROI, and we have great case studies from the smallest of advertisers. I mean, we have a whole small medium business growth channel that works with a long tail of advertisers, where we have seen significant impact that Facebook has driven from a paid advertising perspective with even the smallest budgets. So, I'm not surprised by your question, but I would underscore that I think that there's a lot that Facebook offers for free that we will continue to offer for free. But we're business at the end of the day.
Great, thank you. So elaborate that a little bit on that for us, the point about organic versus paid advertising and using paid to sort of boost organic. A lot of people in the room just don't have a budget to supplement with paid. What are some of the best practices for that organic content? I mean, if we do have a limited opportunity to get our content into the person's news feed, we've heard in these sessions and in others, photos. Is it as simple as photos? What are some of the other things that you're seeing, maybe not from necessarily the travel vertical, but from other verticals where they're seeing success by doing X, Y, Z? Yeah.
I think, yes, photos are hugely impactful. And I think, again, back to Rachel's comment about YouTube, it's we always say, will people care and will they share? And to me, I'm always baffled by businesses and brands that publish content that's just really bad. I mean, it's really, really bad. And it can really be really simple, lightweight content. We use the word lightweight pretty much ubiquitously at Facebook, but that's really gets to the heart of it. I mean, it's just got to be really super simple, really lightweight, really easy to engage with. And we always ask marketers to ask themselves, like, is this something that you and your friends, would you want to send this to your friends? Is this something you would want to share with your friends? And if not, then don't post it.
I can definitely comment to that as, you know, if you're not doing the paid advertising, if you're not allowing us to do the heavy lifting for you or finding the right customer and then serving them your message, you can basically do that for free. I mean, start engaging in all the groups on LinkedIn, you know, all the travel-related groups, all the travel planning groups, and submit content there. Or send messages directly to people, you know, that are on the platform itself. If it's a potential client of yours, there's no, you know, you're not prevented from reaching out to them directly. However, that's where the paid media comes in. You're able to scale your efforts without having to basically go in and deliver all that content individually yourself. So there are means of doing it, you know, just engaging in the platform. But that's where we're able to help you, is just to amplify that process.
And I'll just jump in really quick from the content question. And I think this works across all platforms. I'm going to give you guys a couple of ideas of things that you can walk away with. So when you think about travel and destinations, you are in glamorous places, or you have places that, believe it or not, can be glamorous, that you can romanticize. So thinking about photos that sort of show people hidden corners, undiscovered spots that you don't know. You know, you think about what people do when they go someplace they haven't been before, and they ask locals where to eat, where to go. So thinking about how you can contextualize that through videos and photos, tweets, you know. Think about, you know, the idea of walking tours. If people, you know, there was a great case from Seattle on the 2-day Seattle campaign that they did. You know, that idea of where can people go if they had a day, a 3-hour, you know, block. You know, if they're into art, if they're into food, music, how do you sort of categorize that for them and make it easily snackable, grabbable, right? You know, if you have local luminaries, people who are quirky and fun, those are your own celebrities. Those are, again, that idea of assets. Those are great content. Or you may have some famous people. I grew up in this tiny little town in Idaho, but a decathlete who went and won a gold medal came from there, and he's a celebrity. So destinations have people and places that are interesting. Your job is to think about how you can grab content and blow that out. There's a lot of different stories that you can tell.
Yeah, let's talk about return on investment. So for most of the people in the room here, it's about driving travel or visitation. Yeah. So, you know, if they're driving traffic from your platforms to their sites, they can use campaign tracking codes and measure against goals or conversion events that are hopefully strong signals of intention to travel. Mm-hmm. But for many of your platforms, people may actually just want to stay on Facebook or LinkedIn. So have any of you done conversion research which actually measures actions on your platform that are indicative of people who end up traveling?
Yes. So I showed the 3 pie charts talking about people who follow a brand are much more likely to recommend it, visit their website, and purchase, right? I think it's like around 59% are more likely to purchase. Travelers over-index on Twitter. So I think the stat is 18% of the people on Twitter recently purchased a ticket in the last 12 months. We know that they're doing it. I think that idea of thinking about your goals and how you can sort of track it, right, yourself. Bing does something really smart where they're trying to get people to their website and they link bait. You know, so they'll put something really intriguing there and you kind of want to click. And that takes them to Bing.com and all the other opportunities there. But yeah, it's tricky because their variable is how strong is your content and how is your campaign built, and it differs across the category depending on who's running the show.
So I'll just add, you know, none of us up here and the companies we represent exist in isolation. I would have you think about how you can have each of our services work together as well. So for instance, on Google Hangouts, for instance, examples where I've seen them work really well, I've encouraged advertisers to, that I've been working with, to when you use the free Google Hangout on Air platform to source questions from Facebook and Twitter. And I think your question, Chris, about measurement is very important because none of these exist in isolation and each are making different measurement systems. So I mentioned briefly in my presentation, but social reports for analytics is very new, and it will work to measure conversion actions from social sites that when they come to your website. So for instance, you can set up goals and actions like, in terms of intent to travel. If somebody has engaged with the site for a certain number of minutes, visited a certain number of pages, or even downloaded an electronic guidebook, signed up for your newsletter, all those things that are things that can and should be tracked, and every dollar, in my opinion, that you put in should be measured against it for all these platforms as well. And that includes Twitter and LinkedIn and about 400 additional sites.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I thought your sessions, your presentations were really great, and I apologize for making you do this. Okay, so in advance, I hope you'll still take my calls. But I think the room here is kind of divided with about a quarter of the people that have a fairly decent-sized budget, and they're able to, dedicate 30 to 35% of their budget to digital marketing, and they're experimenting. And so the first step, I think, was sort of taking the organic route and trying to, generate organic engagement. And then the next step is to just sort of stick their toe in the water with a paid search, with a paid program. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice on, and have you seen this, on just how they can just step by step move up and, and how much should they, is it a $300, is it a $500, I'd say 95% of the people here can afford a $1,000 promotion of some kind, campaign, and just, to experiment with it. But my sense, just hearing, the sort of ambient noise around here, is they're a little afraid of it. And so, one, is there, and they don't have time to learn a whole new thing. And is there any place, webinars or anything that you have that can help them take these steps and actually understand it and make it applicable for them?
So I have the mic, so I'll start. So I'll kind of go backwards and hopefully address at least some of the questions that you asked. Absolutely, we are loaded with resources, and Facebook's a really small company. I think we have less than 4,000 employees, so when you think about the fact that we reach 1 billion people now, that's about 250,000 users that each employee at Facebook is responsible for. So we simply don't scale in terms of being able to, connect with every marketer that's running business on Facebook. So we have developed very scalable tools and solutions and education modules to help people get started. So I'm not going to gloss over the fact that Facebook is pretty complicated and it can get in the weeds pretty quickly. But I think, again, it all comes back to knowing what you want to achieve and then backing into that goal. And that is irrespective of budget. Again, we've seen people be super successful and drive really, really great return on investment at really small budget levels because they know explicitly what they want to do. I would also say that because we can target on so many different levels, not even getting into the fact that we can do social targeting, which is just so impactful, there's a lot of testing and learning. So while I would encourage you to dip your toe in, you might have to take it out and then dip another toe in and take it out and keep trying because it is a test and learn and iterate type of platform because it's big.
So you can go to business.twitter.com where you can find out more about our ad products and get resources there. We have 3 products, very simple. The idea of testing and learning is a big piece of it. We have a promoted accounts, and so that's finding people who you want to find, right, the right followers. Promoted tweets. So think about if somebody goes on to Twitter and they miss the tweet that you sent at 11 o'clock, right? Well, this is a way for you to make sure that your followers and people who look like the followers you want see your important messages. And the third product is promoted trends. So that's where a brand or company takes over the top trend for the day. You see companies do that when they're doing a major campaign, right? That timely aspect and wanting to own that conversation. So there's more on the website. And you can actually start quite small. Big fan of figuring it out organically first. The brands and companies that do best on Twitter, started as people who weren't paying for advertising. They started to build great content and put a system in place, and then they figured out how to use the products to promote that and make it work harder for them.
I'm going to have to agree with everything said. Similarly, we have marketing.linkedin.com, through which we have a lot of resources, information that you can find out more about our tools and resources. And similarly, we only have a few products. It is very simple. And similarly, the advertisers who have had the most success have been the ones who have taken advantage of the organic tools, updating their company page, submitting content, and then taking that next step of making sure that they're engaging the right person. So we do have webinars. We do have YouTube videos on how to do everything, like, uploading a picture on your company page, submitting targeted messages, the whole bit. And they're short and simple, easy to use. So hopefully that will help.
For YouTube, from the creators standpoint, so the idea of having a channel and uploading video content there is a site, youtube.com/creators, has more information than you would ever want to know or read through about best practices for that side of the business. The other side of the business, we have a site, youtube.com/advertise, which is the idea of putting paid media behind it. And I would say the one thing I can quickly talk about is our TrueView ad platform. The platform came out not very long ago, and it's the idea of skippable in-stream advertising. So you put in a 30-second ad, however long actually you want the ad to be. It plays in front of videos, and you only pay when someone watches the ad to 30 seconds or completion, whichever comes first. So, and we're seeing cost per views for that for between 8 and 12 cents. So if you think about, what would you pay for an engaged view for someone who chose to watch your ad? Would you pay 8 cents? Most people would, and the skip rate at this point is about 75%. So your video plays for 5 seconds, the person can skip after 5 seconds, and we find that 3 out of 4 people are skipping, which means maybe it wasn't a good fit, the content wasn't a good fit for their interest, and that's okay. But if you think about that, if your ad shows 1,000 times, 250 people watch it on purpose, they actually stay engaged and want to engage with your channel and maybe even take an action from there, that's a $25 investment for you at a 10-cent cost per view. So would you pay $25 to get 250 people who are very, very excited about your brand? I think most people in the room would do that. So check out TrueView in-stream ad formats.
So I'll just make 2 final points. First, we have a saying at Google that I think I hear pretty often. It's launch early and iterate often. And to me, that's sort of the ethos of experimentation and trying new things on digital. I can't tell you, and I know, another one of our seed questions that I saw was, what would I recommend someone would do with $25K? How would I allocate it? And I don't have an answer to that other than to invest it equally and then put it where things are working, because it's going to be different for every destination. Maybe your content lends itself very well to video, and that's your most efficient way of getting traffic and engagement on your site. And I see it across the board. So test and track. The web turns out to be this thing that you can track. The second is that you're not alone. So any dollar that you spend with Google, we have phone support, folks mostly in our California office and also in our Michigan office that work business hours, go through the same trainings as me, and will help you guys. So that number is 866-2-GOOGLE for every single customer that spends $1 with Google. Second is scalable webinars online. So there's two sort of sites I'll refer you to. First is Think with Google and the Learn with Google site. So both, we have a huge library of free webinars, and also the Think with Google is more strategic. So it looks more at case studies and best practices as opposed to like the nitty-gritty what to do on the computer. And then lastly, for those senior marketers in the room that are focused more on strategy than implementation, I'd refer you to a publication called Think Quarterly, which we do every few months, which is for C-levels on just big campaigns that have worked really well. So if you're afraid of looking at screen grabs and how to change keywords, and you're more interested in how to structure your strategy, we sort of have those resources across the board. And I think they're very important to keep up on. It's always good to be learning in the digital space, as we know.
Thank you. One more round of applause for our panel, please. Thank you.